What we pulled out of the ocean!
It's not easy to carve a pumpkin underwater with alien gloves on.
That's a big knife.
There was a huge problem of bones surfacing above the soil.
Trying to be respectful, but I'm a little frightened at the same time.
It's kind of like a Scooby-Doo episode. 3 divers come down, shrouded in mist, and it is Halloween after all.
There's a body here for sure, John, and it's a recent one.
Divers like to experience new things, and we like to do things that you would normally do on land, but underwater. Torpedo Rays has an annual pumpkin carving event. It's been many years since I carved a pumpkin, so it's kind of funny that the first one in years is going to be underwater, but I think it'll go well.
Oh, I think we've been doing this probably like 20 years. Everybody's getting in, they're bringing in a pumpkin, and they're gonna carve it underwater.
I was very excited to do it. I really didn't want to waste the pumpkin seeds in the salt water because I really wanted to cook the pumpkin seeds. And that's how we came to the conclusion to gut the pumpkins on the shore, because it wasn't about like feeding the ocean the seeds or anything. They're healthy, like they could eat them. But it was more Jen wanted to eat the pumpkin seeds.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna salt them, we're gonna roast them and make a bunch of like salted pumpkin seeds.
Delicious. Sarah was a really good cook with them. She made really good pumpkin seeds.
I'm on shore today, so I'm kind of watching over everything and getting food ready for people when they get out. Today's perfect. It's a nice fall day. People will dress up in costumes as well.
We knew this pumpkin dive was happening like months in advance, and we started planning our costumes, I think in the middle of summer. We were talking about it because we were so excited. And after all of our alien adventures in Shag Harbor, we thought, oh my gosh, this is a perfect opportunity to dress up as aliens underwater.
It left such an impression on us when we were down diving in Shag Harbor with Lori, and I think it all hit a special place in our heart, whether we believe in UFOs or not. I think now it's sucked us in.
Aliens are taking over our lives, so it made sense to pay homage to Shag Harbor and the UFO incident. And we bought scrubs, like nurses' scrubs.
We each kind of have like our signature color. And so I was blue, Jed was pink, and Alana was green. And then we found these kind of alien kits and the cool eyes, and we had glow sticks.
Yes.
And these gloves, the gloves were amazing. Oh my gosh, they were probably my favorite part. So they were like these big silver gloves with like nubbins on the end. So they were like, blah, blah, blah. That's what I think they sounded like.
This might hinder our carving, but it's okay. You got some green on your butt.
Probably alien stuff.
We're trying to be more PG-13. That looks better.
They really, really did come together, which was awesome because we didn't actually know that until the day of the dive. We didn't know if it was gonna fit. We had to cut holes in for our valves, but it really worked.
This is our DIY. I got abducted by an alien costume. Kyle, sample it on for us.
Yes.
Kyle is the male version of me. Unfortunate, but yes.
I think he's learned by now to just go with the flow of all the crazy adventures that we take him on.
I got a phone call the other night and was told it was going to be a UFO, and yeah, now I'm here. That's our pilot, Jen.
I think he's just a really nice, genuine person. He likes to cares for everybody that's out diving with him. He's always looking out for them. But he's just fun to have around as well.
Try and take that thing underwater, is that the plan?
Yeah.
How's that gonna work?
Not well.
Well, I think the plan is, like, in theory, we could, when he's carving his pumpkin, we could stick the poles into the sandy bottom, and then it would just, like, stay like a well-behaved UFO and wait for us to do our job. But the ocean might have other ideas for us today, so.
Wires and definitely, like, a little coat hanger.
Yes.
The Rubbermaid. Oh, I think it's, like, a beautiful piece of And I think it's going to hold up really well underwater.
Imagine trying to build a costume that you're gonna wear over all of your diving gear, and it's gonna survive the elements going into the Atlantic.
People just think we're ridiculous, but we know that we are rocking it, and
They're not wrong.
And then, yeah, so then obviously we were gonna carve alien pumpkins underwater.
I think this one's Sarah's. There's a theme, you see. This one's mine. And this is Kyle's.
I find the hardest part is just keeping the pumpkin underwater, because once you hollow it out, it just wants to float to the surface.
When we got into the water, we weighted them so that they would stay on the bottom.
Kyle's costume for the UFO. His costume really turned out well. The only problem we had was we were hoping it would float just on the surface, but it was just a little bit too short for how deep we were in the water. Trying to get it down, we struggled a little bit to actually make him get down to the bottom, so we had to take his back in at that point.
It's not easy to carve a pumpkin underwater with alien gloves on, but I think we all did pretty well. So pumpkins are organic, so maybe it would have been okay if we let a few pieces of the pumpkin stay in the water, maybe the fish would eat it. I did try to bring the big chunks with me back to the surface, so I had my little trusty turquoise bag to collect the little pieces of pumpkin that we carved out.
Then it was actually really easy to carve pumpkins underwater. Really, you're just hanging out on the bottom of the ocean and you're using your dive knife, or we had special like pumpkin carving knives, and you're following your stencil.
This is my representation of my love for Jen.
Okay, great. It was an experience for sure. It was quite difficult, but it was fast.
What's the best part?
When my pumpkin went and hit Lynn in the face.
Well, I had a unique issue. I have a bit of a rotten pumpkin, which I have a little bit of a rupture on the side, so my weight kept like falling out through the side. And right when your weight falls out of your pumpkin, it just like launches to the surface. So I kept having to be like, stay.
Wait, yeah.
Oh, I think just carved the butthole.
I tried to collect the pieces that we cut off.
That's the one that hit Alana in the face.
I think I'm gonna go on the ramp.
I'm just Sarah again.
Yeah.
Aw, poor me.
Plain old Sarah.
Wait, put on your glasses and then you'd be like Sarah with an edge.
Yeah.
Woo!
2 pumpkins.
Like, people had some pretty cool designs.
These 3.
These 4.
Well, Kyle too, yeah. Yeah, don't forget the Jen part.
Whatever the heck that is.
The Jen's very part.
I'm still pretty partial to this one right there.
That's a big knife.
That is a big one.
One guy's pumpkin was super cool. It was supposed to be an anglerfish. That was cool. He won.
First place. Here's your prize. Congratulations.
Look what we pulled out of the ocean.
Jen, Alana, Sarah, and Kyle, they all won the costume contest this year. I think by landslide. Theirs was really well done.
We did win Best Costume of the Day, which we were all pretty ecstatic about.
I think ours had the most time and dedication, and we were really creative, which was the ultimate goal for a costume contest. You want to be that extra special group.
It was definitely successful, and it's always a lot of fun to be able to hang out with people in the dive industry.
It's something fun. It makes people laugh. It makes people happy. It brings us all together. So overall, it's just a good like community building exercise.
After our pumpkin carving dive, we wanted to do more spooky season dives. So we had heard of Deadman's Island and how it's a gravesite for a bunch of prisoners of war during the War of 1812.
When this opportunity to explore the Northwest Arm came up, I learned that what is now the Armdale Yacht Club during the War of 1812 was actually a prison, and right next to it, Deadman's Island, was the grave site.
So of course, that being a previous prison guard, that kind of piqued my interest. I was like, oh, okay, like right up my alley.
Hey there.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And then we met Captain Dave.
Captain Dave is a tour guide. He has his own tour company that he runs out of the harbor.
Because he spends so much of his time doing tours of the Northwest Arm, he was so knowledgeable about the Northwest Arm and the history.
The Arm is rumored to be the house of a lot of treasure. I mean, everything from silverware to gold and silver coins. A friend of mine actually did pick up an old silver coin from the 1890s. You know, if you're lucky, an old V8 engine from a 58 Pontiac.
Try and lift that up.
That's cool.
Yeah, you guys said you wanted to do Deadman's Island.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of stories.
Deadman's Island is maybe something you'd think exists only in Pirates of the Caribbean, but Deadman's Island is actually a very real place. The British actually erected a prison on what we now know as Melville Island. They would have had cells in there designed to take up to 8 prisoners at a time, and often they were overcrowded in times of war, so you could have had upwards of 20 men in an 8-person cell. There was no glass in the windows. The windows were just open air with bars, so you could imagine in the middle of the winter time it was it was a lot colder down there than it was up in the officers' barracks.
I was never really involved in history until I really started diving and going to all these cool places, and now it's like I can't get enough of it.
There's also the myth of the fellow who fell in love with a British colonel's daughter, and then he ended up going to jail and ended up dying by suicide as well because of that. So.
Do you remember the name of that gentleman? John Dixon, yeah.
John Dixon had a grave that was erected and maintained for over 100 years by the staff of the prison and members of the community.
And the place where he was buried, but somebody did actually come later in life and build a dance hall on top of that grave, which has since been removed, so.
So is the grave still marked? Could we go find John?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We might have to take a peek.
Seems like a dive that's fitting for the season.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Scooby-Doo episode.
That's us.
3 divers come down for an enjoyable day on a body of water, shrouded in mist, and it is Halloween after all.
Halloween is my favorite time of year. Just like Scooby-Doo, and they're out catching the monsters. Well, we're out catching the mysteries under the water.
And you're dressed in orange for the occasion.
I am. Oh, yeah. I'm actually a pumpkin. I would have gotten away with it, too. So we'll go right by Brock. He's paddling into the dock here. Brock is in his 70s, and he's been living on a boat for his entire life since he was 18 years old.
Hi, Brock! Have a good day.
It was Halloween, so we encountered some witches paddleboarding in the Arm. Apparently they do this every year.
You guys are amazing. I love this.
You guys are my people. Happy Halloween.
There's now a causeway, but this truly was an island before people filled it in. And there's a lot of places in Nova Scotia with the word island in the name, and they were never an island. Deadman's Island actually was an island. So.
When you run a prison system in 1800s, it's fair to say that not everybody makes it through alive.
Prisoners who would pass away in the prison, and then the prison guards would take a rowboat, paddle over to the island here, and then they probably only dug, especially in the wintertime, the ground would have been very hard and frozen, so if they could even get into it, 12 inches would be quite a task. In the 1980s, there was a huge problem of bones surfacing above the soil. And people going for a walk with their dog in the park, and the dog getting a bone, and, you know, a human bone.
Never seen a human skull.
Ever? Today's the day.
No, have you?
Yes.
The goal of that dive was to kind of do the outside of Deadman's Island.
Some anti-fog. We're so ladylike.
I love boat diving. What you have to do is put one hand on your mask and your regulator and the other hand on your weight belt, and then you just roll backwards into the water.
Leanna usually just wants to be the first person in the water. She's scuba mom, so she's like, oh, I gotta make sure everybody's safe.
Watch your faces.
Make sure your tank's over.
That was fun. You go ahead, love.
Oh, I am.
And then I went in next. So for me, my favorite diving is actually rolling out of a boat and into the water. And honestly, it's like free falling, almost like out of the boat.
I was gonna jump.
I love it.
The few boat dives I had done were always a giant stride, where you just kind of hold onto your mask and you just step into the water. I had seen videos of people doing back rolls before, but that was my first time.
Put your mask.
Did you go all the way over? That was fun.
That was my first time, and it's so fun now.
She did fantastic. Sarah nailed it.
They're supportive when they want to be. I feel like I'm a vlogger.
A vlogger. So today we're diving in the Northwest Arm.
This is my big pink SMB surface marker buoy because we're about to dive by a lot of boats. We got yachts,
You're beside me.
we got catamarans, we got
No one's
sailboats.
out, but yeah, it's good. All right.
There could be a lot of history that's unexplored there still, because I know the island's been very explored, but we don't know about the water.
In the old days, people would take engines out of the car and drop them over the side of the boat with a chain or rope on them. And that's what people use for their moorings. That's why you might find an old engine and various other things, radiators, half of an old pickup truck, stuff like that.
It's even rumored that there might be a World War I German submarine that's been stripped and scuttled in the deepest part of the channel.
Like Halifax is such an old port city that there's definitely tons of artifacts yet to be discovered, but it will be very difficult to find them because they will be buried in the silt.
There's a few feet of silt before you actually get to like the ocean bottom. So it's really, really fine sediment that actually, like, you could probably stick your arm all the way through.
You can kind of see tracks, which made it a little spooky on the surface of the silt. Those tracks would be from lobsters and crabs kind of scurrying on the bottom of the seafloor. So Jen actually put her arm into the silt at one point, which I would never do. That's spooky. What if something bites you? I don't know. I'm not gonna do that.
I put my arm and it went down at least a foot, and I was just like, I'm never getting my arm back.
I tried to touch the silt to see how deep,
Yeah.
and I went all the way up to my elbow.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, I was like,
Put your arm in it.
Do you guys see the hole? And it looked like it could have been a grave, like torso size.
Oh, damn.
Torso size hole.
Our metrics are now in body parts.
Yeah.
This is what it's come to.
It's pretty deep. 8 meters?
Yeah, we were down 31 feet.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of bottles, old bottles there, like an old Hires root beer one, like, and then like massive starfish.
It's pretty green out there. It's very silty on the bottom, so there wasn't really a lot to see when we were further out. But then as we were starting to come back in, you can kind of see what the bottom was like. It was quite rocky. There are a few sea stars, a few clams, and a few mussels. So the most interesting stuff to see is definitely more shallow than deep.
I found some porcelain. Oh, it's definitely 1812.
From the war.
You don't know, it could be actually.
That's cool. There you go.
Then we ended up going on to the actual island. So we walked up onto the shore.
Drop our gear so we can go and take a little peruse and look through.
That's cool. So, are the bodies all on top of each other and that's what this mound is?
Yeah.
I actually used to be a tour guide in Halifax, but I didn't really know anything about Deadman's Island. So seeing the plaque and learning about the history and how many bodies were buried there was really, really interesting.
It's pretty amazing.
Spooky.
400 people.
Wow.
There was a plaque that had all of the names, or many of the names at least, of the people that were buried there.
Some of them died even in like 1815.
Taken on shore. So maybe he was captured here? Could have been a stowaway.
And they're all unmarked graves, so as we were walking around the park, it was kind of spooky to think that there might have been like bodies underneath us.
Where's the marked grave?
What was his name?
John something.
Dixon.
John Dixon. I wonder how he felt about the dance hall being built.
Great.
People dancing on his grave.
Oh, there's a water bottle or something in that tree.
Oh, that could be that's a geocache.
Geocaching, I do it all the time, actually. It's basically like a treasure hunt.
Normally with geocaching, you take something out and you put something back in for the next person to find it. But you log your name on the little log book. So Elena's gonna put my name.
There's a few in here.
This feather.
It's our contribution.
Yeah.
A really cool feather.
So are we taking anything? I think we should
Nah.
just leave it.
Leave it all there for the kids.
It's kind of fitting though, we found some sort of little alien creature in there. Like, the aliens just keep coming up.
But now we'll go and we'll hook it back up for the next person to find.
We always find treasure.
See that? Definite grave. Guarantee it. It's even growing beer bottles. What's this?
Yeah.
These mushrooms. Shroomy.
Oh, are those the puffball mushrooms? Puff it, touch it.
No.
Poke it.
Scares me every time.
So this is a big tree. Who is under you?
This totally looks like a body dump.
It does.
I should have been in CSI.
I don't know, it's kind of creepy that there's a hole here. Like,
Yeah,
to me,
it's
that would
risky.
mean they didn't bury something properly.
Not very
So it's sinking naturally because of the air pockets.
I can't wait for a hand to come up and grab me.
I know, my feet.
Take me.
There's definitely something buried, but I think I should probably give up.
The ducks are coming for you. It's okay, you'll be okay. Diver, you'll be okay. Don't worry.
When we wanted to get back onto the boat, we actually asked a local resident with a house right there and a dock if we could use her dock to get onto the Zodiac boat again. And she mentioned that her family had been living in this neighborhood for many years. And she mentioned that back in the day, they would just kind of find bones washed upon shore. So that was interesting to hear from a local resident that knows the area really well, that these aren't just stories.
Mission accomplished.
Another successful time.
And seeing the little bit that we saw today makes me want to go out again and see some more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else can we find?
How was it working with Captain Dave today?
Oh my gosh.
So good.
It's a delight. He's delightful.
Delightful Dave.
Thank you for taking us out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very welcome, guys. It was a blast.
We didn't find too many treasures when we were on our dive, but the stories that we can uncover are part of the treasures themselves.
Every time you kind of go to a new place, you're learning about a different piece of maritime history.
And with Deadman's Island, that story lives on. Like, you can just keep going and going and going and searching, so something will come to light.
I think it's really important that people are aware of the historical significance. I think that if I was a soldier who didn't make it through that prison back in the day, I would appreciate the fact that people knew what took place and that I very well may be buried there still to this day.